Hello, welcome to a special episode of Inside North East Non-League Football. I'm delighted to say we're joined by a man that's just had some pretty good news over the weekend. It is South Shields manager, new South Shields permanent manager, Elliott Dickman. Welcome along, Elliott.
Hi, Mark. Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Certainly plenty to talk about, but I think we'll go back to the very start with yourself at South Shields in terms of first team environment anyway. When you were handed the interim charge of the club in terms of the first team, obviously things were on a bit of a downer. There was the double game against Blythe Spartans over Christmas. What was your initial remit that was given to you by Jeff Thompson and the board?
I think the initial remit was just to get in there and just try to sort of support the players, both on and off the field, as best we could, So obviously it started with myself and Lee, and obviously Phil and Andy were around the group anyway. So that was the initial conversation, with the mindset of Lee always going back to sort of supporting the overview of the club, especially the international academy program that we have in place. And then based on that, I was very thankful and lucky that I could bring Andy Innocent to the club to help, because obviously Andy knows the league inside out. He's an excellent coach, and the whole thing was just to really support the players as best we can and help us move forward to just try to change the results a little bit, because unfortunately the club were on a little bit of a losing streak, and we managed to implement some positive things.
We should say Andy is in the room, so it's probably going to be overwhelmingly positive about him. But I mean, looking at the results, they soon picked up. Was there a point where you thought, in terms of the playoffs, obviously, unfortunately missed out on the last day of the season, but was there a point where you thought this is genuinely on? Because I think when you took over, things looked as if they were a little bit on the slide and a bit negative. But was there a point in the season where you thought, we could do this?
Yeah, certainly. The Bishop Stortford game away was an important one. It was a freezing cold night. The pitch was frozen solid. We were okay. We played some good stuff, but we scored two late goals, which were, Martin Wood scored two very late goals, and it just sort of give the lads a little bit of confidence, a little bit of self-belief, that we can win games. And for whatever reason, when you lose games, I think players do feel a little bit, lacking in confidence and a little bit vulnerable. And that night just seemed to click, and we sort of did move forward quite quickly from that. But one thing I would say, from day one of the very first sessions I had with the group, the players have been brilliant. They're a real, the experienced lads around it, and they just needed, from their aspect, they just needed a little bit of guidance and a little bit of support. And I'm not saying that previous regime didn't do that, but they were very thankful that we had a shape. We stuck to a shape. It's a shape that I implemented. I know a lot of people know that we play a certain way, but the way that we play was something that was really, really important. I think it fit the group of players, and the most important thing was getting Blackie back sort of down the middle of the pitch as a striker. He done excellent wide, scored a lot of goals. Don't get us wrong, but down the middle of the pitch is where he likes to be, and I think that was quite important as well.
I remember speaking to you after the one of the Blythe games, I think it was, where you said it was very much week by week you were dealing with at the time. Then I think it switched later on where we were talking month by month. Now it is year by year after what you said, after the 2-year deal you've signed, you and Andy have signed. Was there a point where those negotiations started, if you don't mind me asking? Was there a time when Jeff came to you and said, look, I think we need to talk about longer term now?
Jeff's always been brilliant with me. All my dealings with Jeff have been excellent. He's been very upfront. He's been very, very honest. We've never pushed too much in terms of let's do this. Let's get something out there. He did make it clear from an early stage that he wanted me to be the manager for next season. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on within the club anyway. There's still the potential sale of the club. But like I say, Jeff indicated quite early that we would be planning for next season. We'd be sort of, in his eyes, we would be the management team. And, we just wanted to, it was probably all of us were just quite keen just to keep it calm, keep it sort of settled. Let's not disrupt too much now. We've got the players in a good place. We were picking up results, and let's look at it at the end of the season. And, in hindsight, looking back at that, I think it was a really good, wise choice that we made.
From your point of view, obviously you had vast experience in academies as well. But how have you found the senior setup moving into that first team environment with Shields?
I mean, I loved the academy roles. You know, I've loved my time at Sunderland. Very, very fortunate and lucky to have been there as long as I was, and worked with some unbelievable people and players. Same at Newcastle, even though it was a short time. You know, I still speak to a lot of people there. Learned a lot in a very short space of time. So from that aspect, it was a positive move. But working with senior football, you know, there's that. It's like 3 o'clock on a Saturday. It's like all of a sudden there's this sort of addiction that you have for, you know, you're excited for 3 o'clock on a Saturday and excited for the competitive side of things, and you know all the work that we do as a staff with the players Monday to Friday to prepare them for the game on the Saturday was certainly something that, you know, I never envisaged would get a hold of us, and you know the book certainly did, and it has. And you know, I'm just truly thankful for the players and the staff for everything that they've done on that side of things. Yeah, I've loved it. You know, I think I've been very lucky that, like I keep talking about, you know, the team are a really, really strong team of people, and that's both on the pitch and off the pitch. And they've made it so much easier for me. And you know, it's been brilliant. And the players have been really receptive to the odd thing that we've tweaked and changed slightly. And you know, obviously we'll continue with those little tweaks and changes moving into the next season.
Because I mean, I'm not genuinely not putting down academy football here, but it does tend to be about development and getting players for that, you know, first team ready rather than results, although results do come into it. But the role you're in now is purely results based, isn't it? So that's quite a change in tactic, I guess, from yourself.
It is, yeah. You know, the main thing for us is that we have to prepare a team to win a game, and luckily we've got a real, well, you know, obviously I know some of the lads have left, unfortunately, but we had a team that were really competitive. You know, they had high standards, they've got high standards, and you know, we've just sort of gone alongside that with them, and we've worked really, really well together. And I think the structure of how we play, the way we want to play, I think has really, really helped. Sometimes it has cost us, and it's cost us goals.
Yeah.
But you know, the main thing is we have principles, and if we can do those principles in terms of how we want to play, then great. But ultimately, you know, everyone makes mistakes, and it's supporting the players around that. But we don't want obviously too many mistakes, which are, you know, going to cost us results. It has cost us goals. But one thing I would say is, like I say, the team have been brilliant, and they've very much sort of bought into every aspect that we've challenged them with and asked them to carry out.
You mentioned before that there was already sort of departures being announced by players. Woods, CJ Clark's gone, Aaron Martin as well. Are you expecting any further players to go?
Yeah, I mean, we're still talking to players now. So we've got, you know, a few players that we still need to sort of look at and have conversations with. And you know, we've got you know, we do have a plan for next season. But you know, until we've spoken to every single player, then you know it'll be, you know, nothing will be released, I guess. I mean, the lads that you've mentioned have been brilliant for the club. You know, they've really contributed, and you know, we wish them well. But yeah, we've still sort of making decisions. I know it's quite late in the season. You know, our season's finished, and you know, we've got some really important conversations to have, and you know, we've got to look at what the group's going to look like for next season. And you know, we still want to be competitive within the environment that we're in.
A lot of talk about Paul Blackett. I mean, being a sensational signing for the club, and someone I'm guessing, without putting words in your mouth, you hope will still be part of the squad next season.
Oh, definitely. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, Paul's not going anywhere. He's a valuable member of our team. We love him. We rate him very, very highly. He's been outstanding. You know, he's the top scorer in the division. You know, that speaks volumes within itself. He's a real asset for us as a football club, and you know, we'll be making sure that he doesn't go anywhere. Obviously, I know in football things do change, but at this moment in time, you know, as far as we're concerned, you know, he's a top player, somebody that we love, and yeah, he's certainly in our plans for next season. And you know, we want to kick on from where we've been and take that next step to, you know, either get promoted or definitely make the playoffs. And you know, people like Paul are going to be a massive part of that.
Whilst I've got you on strikers, we might as well talk about another one you got in your books who impressed at the weekend. I was there, and I gather you were as well at Craig Park to see Sam Hodgson score hat-trick. I mean, 25 goals, and admittedly in the Northern Premier League, but still shows what he's about. I spoke to him after the game, and he said he's pretty open-minded about what lies ahead. So, how do you view what he's done at Morpeth?
I mean, he's had a really good season at Morpeth. Like you said, to score 25 goals at that level is really impressive. He took his goals really well on at the weekend. It was great to watch him play. He was sort of out of favour a little bit here in terms of, he wasn't even in the building at times, which was a little disappointing. And, it was one of the first things we did when we came in was, we got him and Jenks back into train with the group. They were just training on with Morpeth. Obviously, we had to manage what they did, where they did it. But like I say, the two of them have been. Well, we got Jenks back into the team, and Jenks has really pushed on. And with Sam, we got him back in training. We had a good look at Sam, and what we didn't want to do was disrupt Sam's games program by bringing him back here just to sort of sit on the bench and come on every now and again when we know that he's going to play week in, week out at Morpeth and hopefully help them achieve success. And from a personal point of view, like we mentioned earlier, the fact that he scored a lot of goals is credit to him, and we're really pleased for him.
You mentioned Will Jenkins. I mean, I saw a lot of him first half of the season at Morpeth, and always felt that he was a South Shield style player, if you want to say that. I think you must be absolutely over the moon with the impact he's made since he's come back.
Definitely, he's been brilliant. Can't speak highly enough of the impact Jenks has made. To be fair, he came, like I say, the training, and it was Lee's idea, to be honest. Lee said, "Let's get him back in training. Let's have a look at him." And we had a conversation, and we were quite comfortable with the shape that we had and the players that were in there at that moment in time. And then Jenks got an opportunity, and that's something all you need in football, that one chance. And he did it in training. That's why we brought him back to be part of the squad. And to be fair, once he got on the team, he's never looked back. To be fair, and all credit to him, winning Young Player of the Season and making the impact that he has is it's really, really impressive. And he's another one that we rate really, really highly.
I think a lot of supporters will obviously want to know about recruitment, which I know is an ongoing process. I don't like to throw names at managers, but I will throw one because you've had him and you know him from your past in terms of Dylan Stevenson. I mean, it made a good impact since coming in on loan in January. Is he someone you'd be keen? I know he's a Newcastle player still for the next couple of months, but someone you'd be keen to keep hold of?
Dylan's been fantastic for us. He scored goals. He's contributed to goals. It's never easy coming out of the environment that he's in to go on loan, and I think Dylan will be the first to admit, he's had other opportunities where it probably didn't work out too well for him. It's sort of testament to him and the group that he's slotted into our environment, really smoothly, and he made an impact. And he's got talent. He's still a Newcastle United player. Until that's official that he's not, then I guess we can't really say too much more than that. But as far as we're concerned, we would love him to be here. If it doesn't work out for him at Newcastle, like I said, he'd be certainly somebody that we would be having conversations with, and hopefully we can get a deal done where he does come and join us. If it doesn't, then we wish him well. But yeah, we would love for him to be in and around what we're trying to achieve next year.
I mean, obviously, any manager wants to put their own stamp on their squad, and I'm guessing you've got a list of targets that you've identified for the summer.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a core group of players who are in contract, who are really important to the club, to the team. They're very, like I say, they're the senior players, and they're the ones who've got a real good understanding of what we want to try to achieve. We've got a list of players. It's not a big list if I'm being honest, but we've got a list of players at this moment in time that we want to, speak to when the time's right that we do that. And we've got some young players that we want to try to help develop, and we've had a couple of them in and around the group for a good period of time. We've got João Gomez coming back from a long-term injury, so João's going to get an opportunity in pre-season to see where he is. So, on a whole, on a bit of paper, it looks really good if we get what we want. But in and around that, we've got a core group and a core nucleus of players that certainly will keep us competitive, and we believe in them. We believe that the players that we have, if we get the additions, can certainly improve the group. And we're not going to hide behind that. We want to go one better than what we've done this season. And with that, there's bravery saying it, and there's sometimes people might say just keep expectations low. We want to be positive about how we are. We believe in what we do. We believe in the group of players, and hopefully we can carry that out when we play. And like I said, we believe in the group, and if we get what we have on a bit of paper, then we'll be really excited.
I realise obviously you can't say too much about the takeover process or the possible takeover of the club, but will that impact on your recruitment? Will you have to be careful, because you could have a new boss within a few months, I guess people might say.
Yeah, I mean, at this moment in time, Jeff's our owner, Jeff's our chairman. All dialogue from my side of things is with Jeff. All I know is that there is people interested, and that's all I need to know. I don't really need to know the ins and outs of how it may look looking forward. We've been set a budget by Jeff, and we've got to stick to that budget, and we've got to look to try to bring players in and around that budget. That keeps us, like I say, competitive and moving forward. And like I said, hopefully we get some of these targets, and if we get them, then I know Andy and myself are really excited moving forward if we get the players across the line.
The academy's always been a big part of the club since it was launched, and I mean, you look this season, the likes of James Sloan's come in and not looked out of place in the second tier non-league football, which says a lot about him. I mean, do you feel there's more to come from the academy as well? Would that be a big part of next season?
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what our budget is, and if we could bring in 10 players who are experienced and established, the academy, in my view, the academy is the heartbeat of any football club, and we have to use that. We've got some really good talented young players. They just need a bit of time to develop and to improve and see where their game's going. But there's a number of them being around the group. There's a lot of them trained. A lot. I know in previous years, it was sort of two split sites, and academy players weren't allowed anywhere near the first team. Under what we've done, Andy and myself, it's very much. We've had a good chunk of academy players training, and it gives us an opportunity to see how they do with the team. We've had young Dan Savage, James Sloan, Albie Fletcher, just to name a few who've been in and around it, and they've made an impact, and they've all played some minutes in the first team, which is great for our academy, great for those individuals and their families. And at the same time, we're not a charity. We're not just going to hand players game time and opportunities. They've got to earn it, and the three players that definitely did that. And there is a nucleus of younger lads waiting in the wings to hopefully take that opportunity when they get that, hopefully in pre-season.
Just a final one, just looking at next season, the division again is going to go up another level, I think, from where it was this year. You look at the teams, I mean, Scunthorpe not going up is probably a little bit of a surprise to many, given I think everyone knows their budget was substantial, we'll say. Yeah. Teams coming up from the lower level, I mean, you've got Radcliffe coming up, who are a good side. It's going to be, I think, an even tougher league next year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the division's tough as it was, I think it's really competitive, and anybody can beat anybody on the day, is how I've seen it. We've just got to believe in what we do. We've got to stick to our principles. We've set the bar. Everyone knows what we're about, and everybody might come and have a bit of a game plan. Brackley, who were in the final, did that. They came and let us have the ball, and we dominated the game. But they did us on a sucker punch with a counter attack, and we have to find ways to. If teams are going to come and do that at our ground, we've got to find a way to break them down. We were secretly hoping that Scunthorpe would go up just based on their budget and what they have, but we beat them at home in a really, really good game. And listen, I just want to try to be really positive with everything that we're trying to achieve here. And if we're worrying about other teams, I think sometimes you can fester in a negative mindset. And I think the main thing is trust our processes, trust how we play, trust in our principles. We have to work extremely hard every single moment of every single game. We believe in the quality that we have, and like I said, fingers crossed we can go one better than this season. And if we do that and we make the playoffs, then brilliant. If we go even further and we're in that position where we can get promoted, then that would be superb, to be fair.
Elliott, thanks for that. It sounds like it's going to be a hectic summer, but I think that's already started, hasn't it, really? But thanks for your time. Much appreciated. I'm sure all South Shields fans will be watching on with interest. We'll see you next time.
Brilliant.